This hero has been the least balanced hero of all time. Specifically, Tracer has had the least amount of changes in the entire game and has consistently been one of the best characters in the game, and more importantly, is the lifeblood of Overwatch, and I'm gonna explain why. But I'm gonna need you to explain why you're not subscribed when this is like your 6th video of mine that you're seeing. I'm just kidding. Anyways, let's jump into the video. Now, Tracer is one of the most powerful DPS today and has been consistently one of the best heroes in the entire game throughout the years in many different metas. While not played in every single one, she has probably the most consistent playtime out of any character in the entire game. And it's crazy when you consider the fact that Tracer has had so little changes since her launch. She's basically stayed more or less the same. In fact, there's only 2 pages of changes, and most of them are very slight or little bug fixes and tweaks. For instance, May 3rd, 2018, she got her pulse bomb changed from 400 damage to 300, and then in August 13th, 2019, her pulse bomb went back up to 350. In October of 2019, Tracer actually did get a buff, with the damage fall off now starting at 13 meters, up from 10 meters. But remember, this was after OP Brig was introduced into the game, and this was the period of time where Tracer saw the least amount of play, because while Tracer was played in most dive, rush, and hybrid compositions, Tracer was not played in double shield poke and was not played in goats. Now, she did get one more quality of life change in 2020, but that was it for the whole character in all of Overwatch 1. And then moving on to Overwatch 2, she did get her damage reduced from her pulse pistols from 6 to 5 in April of 2022, but you do got to understand that she got those changes to the DPS passive that inadvertently buffed Tracer more than a lot of other characters. Faster reload and being able to move faster post-kill. These were things that definitely affected her more than some of the other characters in the roster. But then come to find out last December that there was actually a bug making her pulse pistols have less fall off. So when they removed it, they actually increased her damage to the pulse pistols back to 6, because that was going to be a nerf and they didn't want to double nerf her. So they actually buffed her back. Then in December of 2022, they re-nerf it for real this time down to 5.5. And then the recent change to the spread, which was actually another bug that was making Tracer do less damage than she was supposed to be doing. So when they removed the bug, Tracer was doing too much damage, so they increased her spread by 15. Still, overall, Tracer is still about the same. Now, I go through the history of Tracer here because there's 2 pages, and you can see that there are just really little changes, if any at all. I mean, these are really minuscule changes to this character that has more or less been the exact same since the beginning. Tracer at launch back in Overwatch 1 is almost identical to Tracer of today, which is vastly different compared to many of the characters on the roster, if not all of them. And some people are going to argue that Tracer is too strong, or that Tracer shouldn't maintain her meta status, but I would go into the other direction. I would personally say that Tracer's effectiveness and Tracer's identity is actually integral to healthy game balance in Overwatch. Not only is Tracer considered one of the top 5, if not the most challenging character to master in the game, but I think that Tracer personifies Overwatch in a lot of ways, being a character that is only possible in a game like Overwatch, having advanced mobility, mechanics, but at the same time being incredibly fragile, so you have to individually outplay and outmaneuver everything you come across. And while Tracer can definitely be very, very strong, if not dominant at times, no one has ever been destroyed by a Tracer and thought that that person got that win or that victory in a way that wasn't proportional to their skill. Tracers are respected, and we see them in the Overwatch League with really insane pop-offs in the history of our game, pop-offs from Profit in the Grand Finals, and seeing insane Tracer play today in the World Cup. Well, Tracer is the least balanced hero of all time, with a very, very high pick rate and has barely seen any changes at all. I don't think that should change. In fact, I think that Tracer is actually perfectly balanced, and I think that she should set the standard for all other things to work around her. Now, this doesn't mean that Tracer will dominate every rank, because Tracer requires a really high skill ceiling. And in addition to that, Tracer works better with coordination and coordinated play in coordinated dives. So there are a lot of characters that can counteract her, play against her. And I'm not saying that Tracer should never have any counters. In fact, having counters or things that can fight against Tracer is a good thing. But I think the worst thing that Overwatch could do would be removing Tracer from the meta entirely, or removing her effectiveness entirely, creating a world where Tracer ceases to be relevant in any way. And I think that was the real tragedy behind Brig being introduced way back when, because she was created as a fold to Tracer, but back then it wasn't a healthy way. It literally just eradicated the character from seeing play at all, where today's Brig is a lot better at contesting Tracer, but not necessarily completely shutting her down. And a Tracer that can consistently hit pulse bombs or plays more disciplined fights, slower fights with your team, can still get value. And that's kind of the secret, is put characters in the game that can contest Tracer, harass Tracer, outplay Tracer, but not shut her out completely. And I do think that Tracer is the one character that Blizzard just nailed it on the first try. Whether it was by luck or just the grit of the early development team, I really have to give props to a character that has stayed so relevant, scaled with the overall community and player skill, and is still a cornerstone of all the metas they're seeing play right now, so many years after her release. And as long as Tracer stays relevant, power creep is kept in check, relatively, because Tracer still being the best DPS, if not one of the best characters in the game, all these years later, is kind of like the guiding light for future balance, or at the very least a line that you should not cross when trying to create new heroes in the future that can participate in the meta and still get effectiveness without destroying the old characters in the game or making every old character completely obsolete. Now, if you agree or disagree with my takes on Tracer, let me know how you feel about her in the comments down below. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy, and I'll see you next time.